Good afternoon. I'm Dan Tupper, President of the Board. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Jefferson County PD Board of Commissioners. It is Tuesday, February 17th, 2026. It's 4 p.m. I'm going to call us to order. JPUD will be offering both virtual and online meetings as well as in-person meetings unless advance notice is provided. Online participant audio will be muted upon entry. Please unmute at the appropriate time to speak. If you're calling in, use *6 to mute and unmute and *9 to raise a hand to request to speak. With that, I'll take a roll call again. Dan Tupper, District 3 Commissioner.
Jeff Randall, Commissioner for District 1.
Kenneth Collins, Commissioner, District 2.
Thank you. We have a quorum, a full board. Next item is the review of the agenda. I know we want to add some time on for an executive session. Now, we can put that into this meeting, Joel. It doesn't have to be after we adjourn the regular meeting, correct?
Yes, correct.
All right, so how long? We're going to need 30 minutes. Did we assume this will be a change to the agenda? So
Right. So Joel, did we correctly, I'm just going to ask for procedures.
sure, no, go ahead.
Did we correctly adjourn the
I recessed.
first special meeting, or we recessed? So does that mean we should continue that?
Yeah, that the recess would be for the period over the regular meeting.
Okay.
And then you're setting a time certain for the executive session to resume.
Okay. But wouldn't we, not to get too technical, but adjourn this meeting as a regular business meeting and then reopen that one? Or
Yes.
matters. Okay. So
we should. I mean,
We'll adjourn? Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we
yeah,
will.
when this meeting's over, we'll adjourn it. It will be over. And then you will continue
Right.
the
So
recessed.
we don't need to reference the executive session in this agenda because that'll be a separate.
No, because you'll be done with it. Is that the question? Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes, you do not. It's not part of this meeting. Thank you.
Okay, then I stand corrected. So are there any other items on the agenda that need to be dealt with? So with that, I would entertain a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So with that, we will move on to public comment. The public comment period allows members of the public to comment, limited to 3 minutes each, on any items not specifically listed on the agenda or for items that are listed on the consent agenda. Prior to any public comment, members of the public must first be recognized by the president or the designated chair of the meeting and are not permitted to disrupt, disturb, or otherwise impede the orderly conduct and fair progress of the commission's meeting. After an initial warning by the president or the designated chair of the meeting, individuals who intentionally violate these guidelines to actual disruption of the commission meeting will be dropped from the meeting. So with that, I will entertain those who would like to give public comment. Gentlemen here, we have a lectern. If you could, it's above you. It'll get you there. If you could come, we have a lectern here. If you could state your name for the record. It's not mandatory, but it would help for our records. You'll have 3 minutes for public comment.
This is my name is Jacob Savage. 3 broken ribs right now, so it's hard for me to talk. I am here because my power got turned off. I got charged a $60 reconnection fee, and I absolutely believe that circumstances should not have occurred. I specifically asked for door hangers to have a door hanger used, which is a $15 fee. I was not offered, they were not given that, my power just shut off, and now they want to charge me the $60 fee. More than willing to pay the difference, the $15 fee. But I came in here and it is not my, I mailed to move for a while for 3 broken ribs, so I'm not going to check my mail. I don't check my mail, someone does it for me. And a door hanger would have prevented all this because someone would have seen it walking into my house and given me hey, you got a couple of days. Beyond this, I believe there's a lot of bigger concerns that customer requests need to be tracked, taken care of. Like these concerns that I have where I'm in this position need to be looked after. What about people with temporary conditions where I have 3 broken ribs. I can barely talk. I'm gonna suffer from talking to you guys from this right now. And what accountability is there? Because I asked them for door hangers and I got charged and my power shut off. And like, I'm sorry they didn't check the box that they're supposed to check on their computer, but that's not my fault. I came in here, I did what I was supposed to do. I'm requesting. I Dan, you shook my hand. You came to my house. You shook my hand. I voted for you. Okay. I believe in you. I know there's a reason I voted for you. And I do not believe that what is happening right now currently is the appropriate way to handle this. Okay. I'm requesting a reconsideration of my reconnection fee and a notification of your renewed procedural procedures moving forward on how you're going to handle this in the future. Because them not clicking a button, minimum wage, whatever it is, I don't care, not okay. Like it doesn't matter. Like just it's not my fault that you guys aren't doing your job and no one's checking you guys. Like literally no one is there's no oversight. You guys are it's just flat. It's like a little you're your own thing. Yeah.
You have about 10 seconds.
Okay, I'm working on it. All right, and so I just want a notification of review procedures. I want a clear explanation of how customer accommodation requests are documented and honored moving forward. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Could you say your name again?
Yeah, I didn't
for
get
us?
your name.
Jacob Savage.
Oh, okay.
Would you mind saying what your address is, Jacob?
1111 Burr Lane, Port Havelock, Washington.
Thank you.
So the board doesn't debate the day-to-day operations
I'm
and,
asking for-
oh, I know, I'm just letting you know, I haven't seen you in here before, Mr. Savage. So I just want to let you know that we may address this issue in manager's report. I'll leave that up to staff to determine if there's anything they want to discuss tonight. Otherwise, I would suggest you definitely get a hold of our CSR leads and talk to them again if you haven't done that or you have.
Contact numbers then?
So Jacob, you might want to stay for 10 minutes because we're going to do the staff report. So the way we often do this is staff will have a chance to cover a bunch of things. And when we get public comments, they may be able to answer some of our questions.
Yeah.
So it might be worth your time.
Because the commissioners won't have any,
Can't have these meetings.
yeah, the commissioners won't have any answers for you. Just something that'll have to be dealt with.
I'm just making a public knowledge,
So-
making a statement on record.
Yeah, thanks, Jacob. So with that, we'll move to Mr. Boyd. Not hearing you.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah. On the 20 or the manager's report, looks like there's going to be going to go over the 2025 actuals on the budget, and so I was wondering, is there going to be a comment period, question period on that, or if I have any type of statement, should I make it now?
You make it now. It's consent.
Yeah, if it's on the consent agenda, this is your time to discuss it.
I don't think it's on the consent agenda.
About the manager's report,
Oh, wait.
not the consent.
Oh, one more time,
I
Leo.
apologize.
One more time. What was your request, Leo?
Should I ask my questions now or my comments, or should I wait till the manager's report?
Well, again, it'll probably apply to the reports to ask your questions. So this is public comment for anything that's on the consent agenda or not in the regular agenda.
You're gonna entertain questions during the.
It's up to the general manager if he just stated like that, no, you don't want to take any questions, or would you rather have him ask questions now?
Other questions now.
Okay.
Okay.
Deck is gonna say.
Okay, Leo, I'm gonna start your 3 minutes over. Go ahead. Ask your questions
All
now.
right, so I was looking on the actuals for 2025 with the broadband, and they're really concerning. I mean these numbers, if this was an investor-owned utility, the investors would just be having an absolute cow, because I don't see how it's even possible to recover from this. I mean, these are numbers that people get fired over. They're just, and then your PILT, you guys haven't even played your PILT yet. And actually, I believe you're behind on your pilt. And I think the county was estimating you guys were looking at about $250,000 for your payment in lieu of taxes, which when this was originally being discussed between the county and Kevin Street made it clear that, well, that basically the pilt tax is going to exceed the revenue of the broadband. And the county's response to that was, well, pretty much, you guys decided that you wanted to get into the broadband retail business and not just the wholesale business. So you subjected yourself to this, and other PUDs, they never complained about it when it was out, when it was at the legislature and was approved. And I think a lot of that was because they weren't planning on getting in the retail business, so it doesn't affect them. So, but I mean, it's, being, operating revenues, your budget, you're like over almost $500,000 under your budgeted revenue. Your margins, you're like horrible. As far as operating in retail, especially when the pilt is, you have to pay the pilt, I just don't understand how you are ever planning on actually covering this, because you're supposed to supposed to be financially viable. That's part of the grants. It's got to be sustaining. So I just like some sort of idea of what you guys plan on doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Leo. Anybody else with public comment? Not
Can I
seeing.
identify as a different person?
No, sorry. 3 minutes per person. I'm not seeing any other hands. So with that, I will close public comment and we will move on to general manager and leadership reports.
Okay, Amanda's going to kick us off with the quarterly budget to actuals presentation.
Well, it's getting us. I got to sign into Zoom. My apologies. I thought we were after Jimmy.
Joe, will it be possible to have a quick summary of our procedures on when we are not getting payment from a customer and we, the steps that we go through before shutting the power off? Is that something you can cover?
Aren't we in a period where we're not supposed to do that?
You're not supposed to talk right now.
Yeah, no, it's only one public comment period. If we talk about a specific issue later on, then we allow more comment.
So is that something we can cover a little bit? Okay.
This is the 2025 budget to actuals. The first note that I want to make is that the budget to actuals are being presented on unaudited financial statements. And so I just wanted to make that clear for the commission. This first slide. Yep. The first slide is electric, water, fiber combined actuals for the year 2025. We can see that it was less than what was budgeted, with the combined net margins of 50% less than what was budgeted. We'll dive into the potential factors for actuals being lower than the budget amounts in the coming divisional slides. For conversation, the broadband division is excluded from the electric division during this discussion. One potential driver for operating revenues being lower than expected is warmer weather during the fall and winter, which led to lower energy demand and generating less electric revenue. We had an increase in non-operating margin due to an increase in customer requested services for 2025. And our key ratios, the net and DSC, they increased, which improved, sorry. Our ratios improved, providing adequate margins to comfortably meet our debt service covenants. For water, we had to reduce operating expense due to crews working more capital projects than planned O&M projects. We also saw a reduce in non-operating margin due to lower than estimated customer requested services. And then our net margins increased, but within a reasonable variance balance by a reduction in expenses. For broadband, the decrease in estimated revenue is due to delays in customer connections, registered customers. And then we have a reduction in non-operating margins due to infrastructure projects getting distributed.
Amanda, is it okay to ask questions on the slides? So the non-operating margins, is any part of that grant related, like the money not coming through? So like that pretty big variance, the 7 million, that part of that is it'll be spent later. It'll be
Spent.
okay.
We
Okay.
can't ask for reimbursements until we have the expenses.
It's just a reflection of the project not going as fast as we thought. Okay.
Are there any other questions?
I hope these lights don't go out.
Jacob, you're gonna have to restrain yourself, please. Don't interrupt our staff reports.
This is the cash flow through December 2025. You can see that we had a reduction of 1.8 million from the beginning of 2025 to the end of 2025, with our cash balance being 8.3 million. Here we wanted to show how electric expenses are, or how we're spending our money in electric. With our largest expense is purchase power, our second largest is depreciation and amortization, and our third largest is administrative and general. For water expenses, our largest is depreciation and amortization, our second is distribution operations expense, and our third is distribution maintenance expense. And then for broadband, our largest expense is administrative and general expenses, second, distribution and operations expense, and third is distribution maintenance expense. We went through this. Do you have any questions?
I guess I have a question for Joe. You've only been on the job for a little over 6 months now. Do you have any kind of reflections on how the budget worked out and how this information affects your looking at the budget for this next year?
Well, obviously, we need to start performing on the broadband plan. So that's the primary focus area. So the system is being built out through contractors, and we have an engineering firm on contract as well. So there's leverage, but it's contract performance leverage. It's not like we can tell these folks, work longer hours or do your job better. It's part of the contract. It's part of the contracting process. So I think the team is disappointed in how it's proceeding, but confident that it's going to deliver the value to the community that we're anticipating it's going to deliver. So, and it's not a business that we've been in before. It's not a business that a lot of PUDs are mature in. There wasn't a lot of opportunity to copy from 10 predecessors about how to do this exactly right. We've been trailblazing in this space. So I'm frankly proud of how the team has dealt with the challenges along the way and innovated around the solutions. And again, I think when we're sitting around this table at this time next year, when we hope to have 4 times as many customers attached to the system, I think we're going to feel a little bit differently than we do at this fairly bleak moment from a financial perspective.
I guess I had one more question, if it's okay. Mr. Boyd brought up some concerns about our liability under the property in lieu of tax issue with the county. That's an issue that's, isn't like there's like an April deadline or something that we have with the county. And I don't know if you want to comment on that or if that's something that's in process or.
It's a negotiated process, and we're working with the county and the Department of Revenue
Okay.
on that issue.
Okay. That's, I guess, all we have to say there.
So, go ahead, Ken.
How do we look for 2026 in terms of getting the work done within the limits required by the different grants?
Comfortable addressing?
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah. I mean, I have had given lots of projections and I've been wrong multiple times, so I'm happy to give more projections, but we're just wrapping up. All of the construction for Olympic Fiber Corridor is done. We're just waiting for the splice testing to be finished up. So we're weeks away from that. The hard part we're having is we're not getting back good data, and we need to get the data validated, and then any places where there's errors or low light, they have to go back and fix that. So we're waiting on that. That's create a backlog of about 1,000 customers. For our next projects, we have Discovery Bay East and Jefferson North well underway. Those grants have to be concluded at the end of the year. Same with Port Townsend business area, where we feel pretty comfortable we'll have all of that completed. That'll bring on just over 2,000 customers. And then we're starting our next largest area this summer, which is the Southeast Jefferson area, and that'll conclude in late 2027. That grant doesn't have to be completed till 2029, but we want to bring everybody online as soon as we can since we have the funding.
So Will, what I heard you say was the most immediate deadline that's coming up or thing that will change is the Olympic Fiber Corridor and just tying up the loose ends, the things that they've got to go back and fix something that wasn't quite done right. And once that's all done, then we're going to be able to add about 1,000 additional customers. Okay. All right.
Yeah, and that is the why our revenue is off, because we were anticipating we would have brought them all out this summer.
Okay.
And we've been at a standstill from this summer. It's been very frustrating.
So I see your hand, Mr. Savage. Hold on a second. So before we move on, could the general manager address Mr. Savage's questions about our process?
Usually correct.
We're not taking public comments on
Well,
general.
no,
So
no.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I'll follow up on this. So when we do shutoffs, are we doing door hangers for all shutoffs? And could you comment on, Mr. Savage said that there's a $15 fee if somebody gets a door hanger versus $60 fee if not. I guess
Okay.
I think
I
the
didn't
board
realize
would
we were jumping
appreciate
to that
clarification on that
Sorry, I
process.
thought we were still on the actuals. I got keep going. Gene, you have a.
I can give you the process update. So 21 days after a bill comes out, the customer gets it, it's due. 3 days later, we assess a late fee. 2 weeks later, they get a letter stating that it's late. And I think it's another 2 weeks, they get a phone call. If we don't have a phone number on file, then we may send out a door hanger, but it is not guaranteed. So we can do that, but the letters come out.
Okay.
So what I was going to, so Mr. Savage, you need to control your temper here. So what I want to say is the board has heard you. We're not going to give some judgery, any sort of decision tonight on this. This is something that lies within the general manager and his staff and our customer service. No more questions at this point. I'm speaking. Our customer service department. So you're going to have to work with them outside of this meeting, and then they would come back to the board with recommendations or potential process to meet the need that you had, the financial side of this. That's kind of the way the process works, the way it's worked in the past, my understanding. So with that, I want to close this issue on your comments. I'll give you one last comment.
Is there a point in this meeting that I will be able to talk again?
Not on these subjects, only on the other things that we're going to talk about.
I understand procedural process.
So I have a question for the
Go ahead.
manager. So And Joe, this kind of predates you. You know, this utility had a lot of issues with shutoffs early on, you know, shortly after we became an electric utility. And I, for one board member, am not clear on what we would be doing. And if I was asked by somebody that, hey, are we going to, before we shut your power off, are we going to put a, you know, we've attempted to reach out to you. If we haven't been successful in reaching you, will we put a door hanger on your door before we shut your power off? I would have hoped that the answer would have been yes, because to me, shutting somebody's power off is a big deal. And I don't know how many, do you have an average of how many we're doing a month or a week? I know that probably varies.
It does vary by cycle, usually not more than 50 a month.
Okay, I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot of door hangers.
That is we try that. We put in service orders.
So when you put in a service order, that's not necessarily your staff that's carrying it out. It's also got to go out in the field, a meter reader, or somebody. Yeah. Okay.
And that is done 2 days before the disconnect, 3 days before the disconnect.
Okay.
So, Mr. Savage, the board's heard your comments tonight. Staff is aware of the issues that you brought up, and they will come forward with more information. You're free to contact anybody outside of this meeting. The board meetings, the first and third Tuesdays of every month. Yeah.
You can also
I'll have my 3 minutes more prepared.
You can also reach out to us individually if you want to. Our
Online.
phone numbers and email are on.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys' time.
Thank you. So with that, we will move on back to the general manager.
The next item we had for reports to the general manager is a report on our electric reliability for 2025. So just to define some terms, but I understand that we haven't talked about this on a regular basis, so I thought I'd just have some term definitions. So when I mention the word SAIDI, this is what I'm referring to as System Average Interruption Duration Index. This is a nationally accepted term for measuring the duration of a outage on a index basis. So we just heard about 50 disconnects in a month. That doesn't really mean anything unless you compare it to the fact that we have 21,000 customers, and that's 0.2%. So SAIDI does the same thing. It takes your reliability and indexes the amount of outage duration by how many customers you have. SAIFI is similar, except it's a frequency. So SAIDI is measuring the outage duration. SAIFI is doing essentially the same thing, basically, except on the frequency of the outage, how many experiences on average per average customer you have per year. Now, utilities can declare what a major event is randomly, like we had a really bad day, call it a major event, or they can use an industry agreed on statistical measurement developed by IEEE 1366, which is a statistical way of saying this day was abnormal compared to our normal experience. So just for an example, using the statistical measures, December 17th storm that we had, the 2-day storm, where some customers were out for 30 plus hours, that did qualify as a major event. So generally speaking, it's useful for understanding the difference between major events and what typical experiences are, to put those in 2 different buckets. And so that you'll see that done here. It's not hiding the ball. It is showing what a typical utility response is when it's not a huge event where you've outstripped your resources and ability to respond to events. Okay, so this is our trend over the last 5 years. You can see it moves around a little bit. This is without the major events, and the 2025 was a little bit higher than it has been in years past, and 2024 was about on average. Now, notice the difference in the time scales here. So we have 700 is the peak on minutes, and 4 is the peak on the index. I just want to be clear on that. When we go to all in without taking out the major events, the numbers go significantly higher. So these bars are on a completely different vertical axis. Do we need to continue, or is it okay to continue, or do we? Okay.
Yeah, I believe so.
Did it die, Dan?
It's dying, yeah, but it's intermittent.
I don't think the charger will reach us to us. Oh.
As long as everyone's here that we need for the presentation, you can continue.
Okay. The outage duration by cause is broken down here. So a little over 50% of our outages are due to trees. 40% without snow hanging on them, and 7% with snow or other things that are weighing down the trees. So we have a decent amount that are not able to characterize. So once a fault has occurred and we go out and try to find it, if we can't find it, that's where we're left, is with an unknown cause. So clearly vegetation is far and away our leading cause of outage. The way that outages are distributed around our system is not what everybody would call equitable. So folks that are served by Chimicum 14 feeder or Irondale 13 have a very different experience than those who are fed off of Chimicum 11 or Irondale 17. So our top 7 feeders, or worst performing 7 feeders, represent 2/3 of the outage duration across our entire system. So this presents us a data-driven opportunity to look for reliability improvements in these circuits. Now, there's a risk or a caution in doing that, because you could essentially pour all of your resources into circuits that are inherently have a much lower customer density, or just go through different terrain that is hard to mitigate. So we have to be balanced in this approach, but it is a useful reference to target cost-effective opportunities to improve reliability. And basically wrapping up with benchmark data. So you notice this is 2024, so I don't have direct access to everybody's reliability information, but many utilities, the ones that actually have bars, submit their data, both their cost of kilowatt hour data and their reliability data, to the Energy Information Administration, who then makes that information publicly available. So there's a little bit of a lag. That's why I'm using 2024 data here. I do find it interesting that a number of our peer utilities don't submit data. So we have significant PUDs in Washington: Clallam, Franklin, Klickitat, Okanagan, Grant, and Mason 3, that haven't evidently submitted data to the Energy Information Agency. So we don't have their comps. So I don't have that on this graph because of a lack of data. And it's not just in 2024. There's years that are lacking as well. But for the population of Washington utilities that do have data, there it is. We're the light blue bar. So so there's opportunity in our space, frankly, to do better. And hopefully we're going to see some of those opportunities to improve our reliability and get more competitive in our peer space.
I see you've got a Vista up there. I'm trying to see if PSC is up there.
PSC is
Oh, there they
right
are.
here. Now, PSC, some might imply from this that their service is less reliable than it would have been, but PSC has the benefit of Bellevue, Kirkland, Redmond, basically centers of high density customers that are balancing out some of their rural reliability. So I don't have enough data to know how Puget's system performs in their more rural areas. For example, Kitsap County would probably be a reasonable benchmark, even though it's higher density than Jefferson County. So these are system-wide numbers for these utilities. Yeah.
I appreciate seeing this data. This is something that is new information presented to the commissioners about the performance of the utility. And I find it very helpful. It would be, I think, useful to benchmark against utilities on this side of the mountains as comparing us to utilities that don't have trees seems to be an apples and oranges comparison.
That's a fair observation. Yeah, appreciate you bringing that up. It's a good
It's
point.
not profound, but it's fair.
Well, it is data, and it's data that we intend to start using more regularly for operational purposes.
And even if we're just measuring it against ourselves year to year, I think it's useful.
Yes.
Yes. Sorry, there's a caution in there, Jeff. Suddenly I'm losing my voice. There's a caution in there that some years are better than others with regard to wind.
Take a second. Take a second. I've been there. Where it tightens up and it doesn't work.
Yeah, to Commissioner Collins's comments, I think this is where a vegetation management plan comes into play. It feeds into this. And then also, as we look at our long-term capital improvement plans of where the focus might be a little more focused. So on the previous slides where you look at the substations that are most affected. But then time to get voice back.
Yeah, happily, I'm going to turn it back over to Jimmy.
Okay.
Nice try.
Just gonna give a quick update on the pole inspections we have going on.
Hmm.
The physical pole inspections have been completed by Pacific Poles. A week and a half ago, they finished up. They inspected 1,294 poles. Out of those, we had 47 priority reject poles and 11 reject poles, so a total of 58 poles that we need to address. Our engineering staff has already did our staking sheets to go out to the crews for replacement. We've completed 49 of the 58. They have 9 remaining. We'll have those completed this week. Our crews have completed over 12 pole replacements. They're averaging 1 to 2 a day. The ESL gets skewed if they get called for outages or customer work. So on average, we're doing, 8 to 10 poles a week on a good week. So we'll have these poles replaced in the next couple months. So big kudos to our engineering staff and our operations crew for tackling this project.
So did they end up testing all the poles in the city? 'Cause I know it said testing 10% of the poles, or did they test 10% of the poles in the city?
We do 10% of the system-wide poles.
Okay.
And this year we selected the Port Townsend area.
Okay.
The previous 2 that we've completed were the Quilcene area and Gardner, so we're kind of circling around. So next year we might look down in like the Port Ludlow area.
Okay.
Systematically inspecting all our poles.
Great. I
So
know
to
it's something that
answering the question a slightly different way, the intent is to visit every single pole that Jefferson PUD owns once every 10 years at a minimum.
Got it. And I know that's something the crews had brought up to me before, was really hoping to do this. So I'm glad we're doing it.
Jeet, was there anything else you wanted to add, or did you already cover the
disconnects.
Yeah.
I do want to say we take disconnects very seriously, and it is always a last resort. We do try to get door hangers to everybody, and that is in your policy. The policy states that we will attempt, but we can't guarantee that the door hanger will get there or that they'll see it. That has been the discussion that we've had from previous management.
Mm-hmm.
If that is something that you want to look at, I'm happy to bring that policy back to the board and you can look at that.
Okay. And then could you clarify, if you don't mind, Joe, the customer who was here was talking about a $15 charge if it was a door hanger versus a $60. Could you clarify what that is about?
We charge $15 to hang a door hanger. It's not free. Phone calls for disconnects are free, but door hangers, there's a charge. Once a customer is disconnected, there is a $60 reconnect fee.
Okay.
The customer who was here he was disconnected, so the fee is $60
Okay. And is that the same fee we used to have or?
fee.
Okay. And do we have to send somebody out in order to, or are we pulling meters?
It's on the meter.
Okay.
So eventually, the hope is that we would not have to send somebody out. With his meter, this meter in particular, I don't know the specifics
Sure.
without looking it up.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, with different customers, we're going to have different experiences. And again, I don't know what the percentage of people that run into this particular one are. I would leave it to the general manager and staff that if you think that there's a policy change that we should be thinking about or looking at, I would be interested to hear that from you guys in a further meeting.
And I guess just one more time slowly. So we send out the bill. The bill has a pay by this date. If they don't pay, there's a late fee. And then what's the next step from the due date on that bill?
Get a letter in the mail.
How far after the
2 weeks now? It is 14 days. Yeah. Okay.
so 14 days after, now you're 14 days late. You get a letter which says what?
It says your account is past due. Please pay this amount. On the back, it's got all of the help that they need. If you need, if you need Holy Cap, it's got their information.
Right.
If you don't pay by this date, the entire balance will be full. It shows them will be due in full, and it shows them the balance.
Okay.
It tells them what the fees are.
Okay.
And then 2 weeks after that, if they still have not paid, that's when they get the phone call.
Okay. So now we're 4 weeks late.
And that takes us up to 56 days, the disconnect.
Okay.
So the phone call and the door hanger would be the week before disconnect, right before disconnect.
Right.
So that's 56 days.
Right. And then
after the bill came out.
And there's also that state law that covers during the winter time, if somebody is having difficulty paying their bills, they can request
Moratorium and that.
for there not to be a disconnect, and then they can enter into us with
Payment
some
plan.
sort of repayment plan or something.
We will always try to get them a repayment plan before we put them on a moratorium. That is a last resort
Okay.
to help people before we push them that far.
Thank you for the reminder of the process.
Commissioner Collins?
Yeah. Thank you for going over the procedure. It had been my understanding that as a matter of policy, we always do door hangers. Could you provide us on a monthly basis with the number of disconnects that happen and a little bit more understanding of why?
Absolutely.
Like at a future meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me clarify, you want that added to like the managers and leadership reports?
That'd be great.
You got it?
Thank you.
And with that, that concludes reports of management.
All right. Thank you. Thanks again to staff for your patience and working through this tonight. Commissioner reports. Commissioner Randall, would you like to
Sure, I'll go
go
first.
first?
So, hang on a second. I'm trying to get my computer to scroll here. So, since our last meeting, I had a meeting with Joe Wilson on February 4th. The Economic Development Council met on February 5th. The executive director's report, he indicated the strategic plan priorities for this year are working on building local government relationships, building legislative, state, and federal relationships, and identifying obstacles to economic development. Those are kind of the three big things we're working on. We talked about going to an every other month board meeting, but at that point, the full board wasn't ready to do that. So we're going to continue meeting monthly for some time being, and there's renewed incentive. I'm trying to get some more board members, so it'll be interesting how we do that. And we currently don't have a Jefferson Healthcare rep. And let's see, then on the 11th, we had our No One Net board meeting, and Jefferson PUD gave a presentation on how we're doing. And I've asked Curtis if he could provide that PowerPoint to us because it was excellent. And it got real quiet during Curtis's presentation, and he was talking about the details of what we're doing and the numbers and the procedures. I loved it when Angela, when you said we could do 10 gig service to everybody, she's like, are you kidding? You know, she was shocked. So we really made a splash. Curtis represented us well, as did Joe. And then he also talked about the project we have completed with NOAANET, and NOAANET, could take some kudos for that too, helping us get our second path off the peninsula. So it was just a great meeting, I think, from our perspective of how we represented things. Then aside from that, the board is moving forwards on making amendments to our bylaws so that Bigfoot Communications could become a NOAANET board member in the near future, and that seemed to progress. And then on the 18th, let's see, that's going ahead. The 18th, I will meet or talk to the GM again. And on the 26th, our EDC is having an executive committee meeting, and that is my report.
Thank you. Mr. Collins?
On the 5th of February, I had a detailed conversation with one of our customers. And on the 9th, I met with the general manager, attended some of the WAPUTA meetings on the 12th and the 13th, met again with the general manager on the 17th, earlier today, very earlier today, actually. I plan on attending the ICG meeting on Thursday, and we'll meet with the general manager on March 2nd.
Thank you. So I attended the PPC member forum on February 4th. BPA executives gave an update on their staffing progress and long-range transmission planning. Sarah Edmonds, who is the president and CEO of the Western Power Pool, gave a report about the progress of WestTech, which is a coalition of entities in the Western region who've developed a 10-year plan as a potential template for transmission upgrading and constraints that could come up against transmission during that period as well, to meet the projected need for the energy in the region. They also will be completing a 20-year plan as well in the coming years. I attended the PPC Executive Committee meeting on February 5th. The big news of the session was, and I'm sure we've all heard it by now, that, excuse me, BPA Administrator John Hairston has taken the position of General Manager at Eugene Water and Electric. And at that time, they thought Suzanne Cooper was going to be named the interim administrator, but I've heard since that I don't think they have named an interim CEO yet, administrator. So I'm not sure where they are in that process at this very moment. Excuse me, and PPC Executive Board sent a letter to the Department of Energy with recommendations for the experience and qualifications that Public Power feels is necessary for that administrator position. So they immediately sent something off saying, here's what we would like to see in the person that you guys are going to pick to fill that position. PPC Executive Board is exploring a potential supplemental one-time assessment to the members to set up a legal fund in light of litigation actions being taken or potentially coming down the road that Public Power will need to take a role in to get to positive outcomes. Could be further assessments down the road to keep that fund up to speed as they expend those for legal fees or whatever it may be, consultants, whatever they need to make, fight on behalf of PPC in those legal battles. I met with our GM on February 9th. I attended the WAPUTA Day on the Hill on February 11th. Thanks to General Manager Wilson, to Jameson Hahn and Shannon, our executive assistant, for a fine job they did down there. And Jose as well was down there, Jose Escalera, for representing us at the state capitol in the rotunda there. We had a booth, and we met with a lot of other utilities, the public, and legislators. I attended the WAPUTA committee meetings on February 12th. The telecom committee discussion about the BEAD program and funding are concerning. I don't know what the progress of that's going to look like. I know, I think you gentlemen were, or at least one or both of you may have listened to that conversation. Seems like some of the stipulations and some of the things that are coming down there makes me wonder if BEAD is actually going to happen in the way we foresaw that it would happen.
Well, it's not the way we foresaw would happen. That's
I was
for
being kind.
sure.
I was being kind.
Whether we're going to get funding or not, I think is still an open question.
Yeah.
With last data.
So anyhow, one of the implications of the bead was, and again, we'll probably talk about this back in Washington, D.C. next week, and that is, the rules and guidelines that could impact our pole attachment authority. That's one of the big things that caught my ear as I was listening to that. As bead moves forward, if that becomes a stipulation that they go, with FCC rules and things like that, or away from it could be a big impact that could be a deal killer, was kind of the way I heard it. The Energy Committee meeting was interesting as well. The discussion around Waputa's positions on whether or not there should be a low-income funding with some of the legislation that's going on down there. I don't know where they're at with that. I didn't keep track since last week of where that is all headed. But again, anything that's going to impact our local control, Waputa's position is going to be anything that they'd like to see something done, but it has to be funded by the state. We don't want to put ourselves into something that we're going to wind up funding at the end of the day and being overseen by an entity that takes away our local control and our local authority. So that's kind of where that stuff is all headed. Jody Henderson was elected as the vice chair of the Communications Committee. And then the executive board discussed a plan put forward by the executive director to replace the Waputa building's HVAC system. At the board of directors meeting the next day, they talked about that. If you guys had any questions, you can always ask me about that. But it's at end of life. It needs to be replaced. There's some funds there, and there's reserves that can help cover it, and for Waputa to stay within all of its operating guidelines and bylaws and fiscal responsibilities. So that plan's moving forward. I spoke with Tracy Yount of Energy Northwest about him supplying up-to-date descriptions of the SMR LLC and the funding plan for the small modular nuclear reactor project down there, and that we'd need that for the GM, our legal counsel, and the board. They'd canceled those meetings in February that I alluded to last time. They've pushed those out, and part of the reason he told me they pushed those out is because they are working on that very thing that I asked him about. Some primers about what exactly the LLC is going to look like from a funding standpoint for the program, and for how it's going to be laid out from a liability standpoint.
Did they give any estimate of that time
I th-
when they think they're going to do that now? I saw the email from them saying they were canceling.
I think a month to six. Everything got pushed out. I think about a month to 6 weeks. They're still looking at June or July for us to do a resolution on our position as a board and as a utility on the final disposition of moving forward with the project.
So I guess when are they going to brief us then?
I would say the end of March.
Okay.
I don't want to say for certain because he didn't give me a date, but I would expect
March, April, something.
yeah,
like that.
end of March, beginning of April would be my guess.
Okay.
And then we would, if we wanted further information from them, they will be doing the going around. They'll have the Zoom meetings probably like they originally had planned, but then they'll also do individual visits. If we want more information and more of a one-on-one, they might do a Zoom meeting with us, or they may come and visit us. Just depends on their schedules and our schedules is how everything plays out. It might even be earlier. I did put, could be the beginning of March even. So he was a little vague. He wasn't sure. So, but obviously with the issues that they had down there, it might have slowed down, everything that's going on right now with the shutdown that they had to do. And I see how that they've restarted. So at Columbia Generating Station. Looks like there might be a special meeting of the PIF board in late March. Not sure the agenda items yet. That just came out, an email about that, and I haven't seen any follow-up yet. So that's another thing I may have to attend here coming up in March. I'm going to attend the Waputa APPA fly-in. Oh, no, I did. I had the orientation this morning. I got two things confused here. They had the orientation meeting for those of us who are going to DC with Waputa for the APPA fly-in. We watched that this morning. I'll be at the ICG meeting on the 19th, and I will be in Washington, D.C. for the APPA meetings and the Waputa visit as well to the Hill on February 23rd through the 26th. And that completes my report.
Okay. I just want to share my opinion on something. And I'm guessing that PPC, in talking about additional assessments, it's to cover the costs of re-engaging in litigation on the Columbia River and the spill and so forth. And that stuff got stopped for a while when the Biden administration and the tribes got that agreement to stop the litigation, and they had agreed spills. And sitting through meetings, saw how upset a lot of the public power industry was that they weren't at the table for that agreement, but it stopped the lawsuits, and we haven't gotten these special assessments. So for me, it's a little hard for us to then go to our customers and say, you have to pay more because the Trump administration tore up this agreement and now the lawsuits are beginning again. So it's just a position I find kind of frustrating. And I know public power was upset because they weren't at the table, but their position was they weren't going to negotiate on it. So anyway, I don't know that there's really a discussion to be had, but it's just kind of my.
Yeah, well, going back to before that agreement was put in place during the previous administration, they were in litigation then. There's no guarantee it wouldn't have turned out the same way if they kept litigating. So again, woulda, shoulda, coulda is my way of looking at that. But there's more to this assessment that we were talking about, because I mentioned there could be other litigation. I'm not so sure how much of this assessment would go to that particular fight. The bigger fight that's coming is over the residential exchange.
Okay.
So
And that's one I am concerned about.
Yeah, and I'm trying to clarify to you that I don't know how much money would go where, but what the split would be if there is a split.
That's one that does impact us. The more that we have to pay to the private investor-owned utilities, that does cost us more. So I think that's one I am concerned about.
So I can't give you specific on where the money would go, but there probably more than likely will be an assessment to help fund any kind of legal battles that PPC wants to get engaged with on behalf of the 100 members that belong to PPC in the Western region. So,
okay. Thanks for that clarification.
you bet. No, I probably should have made it a little clearer again, I'm not exactly certain how it's going to split yet myself. So, all right. So with that, we'll conclude commissioner reports. We'll move on to the consent agenda. All matters listed below on the consent agenda are considered under one motion and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on those items. If discussion is desired, that item may be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. So are there any issues with the consent agenda?
Does it look okay? Okay, I'll move that we accept the consent agenda as proposed.
Second.
It's been moved and second to accept the consent agenda as presented. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That we have gotten through the consent agenda, and we have no unfinished business. We have no new business. So if my understanding was correct from earlier, I can adjourn this meeting and we can instantly go back into stating the RCW and retiring to the executive session.
Right.
Is that correct?
Could after we adjourn this meeting, could we take a 5-minute break before
Not
we?
instantly.
Okay, I think we can make that work. So it is 4:58. With that, I will adjourn this meeting and then we'll have a 5-minute break and then we will resume here with stating the RCW and going into executive session.
Okay, thank you.
More chance.